Missing almost 75 years, the remains of an East Tennessee Marine killed in action in World War II are back home. Private First Class William Cavan grew up in Hancock County and enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps at age 16. 2 years later, he would lose his life in blast injuries in the Battle of Tarawa, the bloodiest for the Marines in the Pacific. An exhaustive search using DNA helped identify Cavan's remains in the Pacific and in a cemetery in Hawaii. A dozen of that Marine surviving family members watched as the plane and Cavan's Marine escort transferred his remains. His first cousin says this day brought relief for the Cavan family.
It is a final closure, as well as the military's accreditation for having gotten these returned.
Coming up tonight on the Night Beat, we will hear more from the Cavan family about the return of PFC Cavan almost 7 decades after he was killed in action.